If you grew up in the 70s, you'll remember endless summers of absolute freedom. Your beloved bicycle was the door to every adventure, and the playground with its scorching metal slides and super-fast merry-go-rounds was always full of laughter. Today's video will take you back to your childhood with vivid, unforgettable memories of a golden age. Free childhood. The 1970s was a world without constantly ringing cell phones, no pending messages, and no strictly scheduled or supervised playtime set by adults. Back then, parenting standards required much less oversight, and we kids were mostly free to do what we wanted. Summer days were endless. When the sun rose, you'd rush out of bed, quickly eat breakfast, and dart outside. No need for appointments, no specific plans. You just walked down the street, knocked on friends' doors, took responsibility for making friends, and freely invited them to play. This freedom helped 70s kids learn to confidently navigate the world, figure things out on their own, and develop a strong, independent spirit. They explored nearby forests, built secret forts, or simply sat together on the sidewalk, sharing stories and dreams. The summer of the 70s is a vivid picture of freedom and independence, something that today seems like a distant memory, a nostalgic dream of carefree days. Kids freely ran, fell, and picked themselves up, learning from their own experiences without much adult intervention. Bicycle, the most precious possession. Back then, for us kids, cell phones or today's video game systems weren't the most valuable things. Instead, it was your bicycle. The greatest joy was sitting on the bike seat, legs pedaling nimbly, wind blowing through your hair, and the whole world seemingly opening up before you. You could also explore your neighborhood or town, discover secret shortcuts, hidden candy stores, or adventurous forests. The bicycle brought adventures without needing adult dependence, a sense of autonomy that children today rarely experience. These bicycles covered hundreds of miles throughout those long, endless summers, carrying countless memories and crisp laughter. Do you still remember the towering handlebars, sometimes adorned with flags or tassels, and the stylish, curved banana seats? These seats not only provided comfort for long rides, but also helped you express your personality. How far your bicycle could take you depended entirely on your pedaling ability and courage to explore. Metal playgrounds. Our playgrounds were daring, challenging, and sometimes a little scary. Playground structures were primarily made of metal, possessing an industrial beauty and a feeling of sturdiness and durability. Imagine towering, straight steel slides gleaming under the sun. On a scorching hot day, that slide surface could reach 140 degrees Fahrenheit, enough to cause painful burns if you happened to be wearing shorts and slid down without realizing it. And then there were the merry-go-rounds. These giant merry-go-rounds were spun at dizzying speeds by older kids, creating such strong centrifugal force that you could easily be thrown off if you didn't hold on tight. The feeling of extreme exhilaration from the speed, combined with holding your breath in fear of being thrown off, was an indispensable part of 70s childhood. Spaceship-shaped slides were also a common feature, where kids could climb up, imagine traveling among the stars before sliding down with an excited scream. There was only rough metal, sometimes speckled with rust from rain and wind, and real burns on your legs as a mark of adventures. The feeling of sliding down a hot steel slide or the dizzying sensation of spinning around on a merry-go-round was truly thrilling. High dive board. On scorching hot days when cicadas buzzed throughout the air, nothing was better than going for a swim. At the pool, you could express yourself in various ways. You could impress girls by splashing water powerfully, creating big waves and refreshing laughter. Or you could perform perfect cannonballs from the edge of the pool, creating a loud splash that would make everyone around gasp in awe. But the most special thing, something that 70s public pools had and you rarely see today, was the high dive board. Climbing the high dive ladder was not an easy decision. Each step higher was a test of courage, as you looked down at the deep blue water below, feeling small and vulnerable. The sensation of standing on the towering high dive, wind rustling through your hair, heart pounding, then gathering all your courage to jump down, plunging into the cool water. That was a memory full of suspense and exhilaration that nothing could compare to. Signature 70s foods. Memories of 70s cuisine are also full of interesting things and differences compared to today's eating habits. Remember those hot summer days when you were busy playing outdoors, sweaty and with a parched throat? Back then, running to the outdoor garden hose, turning on the faucet, and drinking water directly from the hose was completely normal and common. There were no bottled waters or convenient water filters, just cool water from the hose, carrying a hint of rubber and earth, but surprisingly refreshing after hours of activity. Then we can't help but mention Betty Crocker's Hamburger Helper. Launched in 1971, this dish quickly became a culinary gem in every family kitchen. Hamburger Helper was a magical solution that helped millions of families have a quick, cozy dinner with just a box of pasta, a packet of powdered sauce, and a pound of ground beef. It was a convenient, nutritious, and incredibly popular dinner, especially on busy days. Its rich flavor and ease of preparation made it an indispensable part of many people's culinary memories. And don't forget the indispensable cheese log, or cheese ball at 70s parties. This snack was a perfect combination of shredded cheese, cream cheese, butter, and chopped nuts, often rolled into a log or ball shape and beautifully presented. Bowl cut and feathered hair. This characteristic 70s hairstyle made you look like you were wearing a salad bowl as a hat. For kids, a hairstyle that seemingly every child wanted was the bowl cut. This hairstyle became famous thanks to Adam Rich from the TV show 8 is Enough, an icon of innocence and naivete. Your mom would place a bowl on your head, often a salad bowl, and use scissors to cut around the edge of the bowl. Although it might look a bit silly today, back then, if it was good enough for baseball player Pete Rose and Olympic figure skater Dorothy Hamill, it was good enough for anyone. For adults and teenagers, especially girls and young women, feathered hair was the hairstyle everyone wanted. The icon of this hairstyle was none other than Farrah Fawcett, a fashion and beauty icon of the 70s. She was the 70s encapsulated in one image. Every girl wanted this hair. You would have to spend hours blow-drying your hair, round-brushing each strand to create natural volume, and then using a lot of hairspray to hold the characteristic shape and bounce. Building real things ourselves. We built sturdy forts in our backyards where we could hide, plan adventures, and transform into our own worlds. Towering tree houses in the woods were secret spots to meet friends, read comics, or simply observe the world from above. And then there were wooden go-karts, crudely assembled but full of engineering ingenuity. These carts could be towed behind bicycles with a familiar clanking sound, or let loose to race down steep hills, providing a sensation of extreme speed and excitement. Thanks to new construction springing up everywhere, finding scrap wood for materials was never a problem. Every nearby construction site was a potential treasure trove, where we could find discarded planks and boards to turn into our own creations. We also built bicycle ramps to imitate Evel Knievel, a legendary icon of daring and hazardous stunts. Evel Knievel seemed to be every boy's idol during this period. Everyone tried to replicate his jumps and play with Evil Knievel branded toys. It was thrilling to watch him clear a jump or make an unsuccessful landing. Do you remember that feeling? The feeling of unlimited creativity, the freedom to turn ideas into reality, and a bit of risk when creating everything yourself, facing challenges on your own, and enjoying the joy of completion. Atari Pong, the era of home video games. The 70s will forever be remembered for the advent of the first home video game, Pong. It was a revolutionary event that changed how we entertained ourselves and ushered in a new era of technology. First released by Atari in 1972 as an arcade machine, Pong was a simple two-dimensional game simulating table tennis. It only consisted of a white dot bouncing back and forth between two white lines called paddles. Although it might seem basic, even crude today, back then, Pong was truly a revolution. It ignited the imagination of millions and sparked the entire world of video games we know today. Whole families could gather around the TV, trying to control the white lines to hit the virtual ball. The characteristic beep-boop sound of Pong became a familiar sound in many homes, signaling intense matches and refreshing moments of entertainment. If you were ever captivated by Pong's beep-boop, then you'll certainly also remember the feeling of destroying enemy ships in the arcade game Space Invaders afterward. Space Invaders, released later in the decade, was a big step forward, offering more complex graphics and a clearer objective, protecting the world from alien invaders. Unique toys. The 70s was a period of unique, one-of-a-kind toys reflecting the creativity and sometimes the quirkiness of the era. You might have begged your parents for $4 to buy a pet rock. Yes, it was a rock, but not an ordinary rock. It came with an instruction manual on how to care for it, and you could feed it, dress it up with funny googly eyes, and even take it for walks like a real pet. It was a joke, a symbol of absurdity, yet strangely loved, sparking children's imaginations. Next was Stretch Armstrong. This was a rubber action figure that could stretch insanely without breaking. You could pull his arms and legs as far as you wanted, then watch him magically snap back to his original size. The lava lamp was an iconic centerpiece of 70s decor. You might have turned on a lava lamp to set the mood in your bedroom. This lamp added a glittering, mystical touch to any room, with wax blobs slowly moving and flowing like lava in colorful liquid. The magical feeling of watching the wax blobs move in the lava lamp created a relaxing and enchanting atmosphere. And don't forget the Wacky Packages trading cards. Produced by Topps, these cards were humorous parodies of popular consumer products, making kids burst into laughter with their wit and mischief. Like Wacky Packages, Mad Magazine was another toy of this era, satirizing everything and providing hearty laughs. If you wanted something a little more serious, you might read Dynamite magazine to see what your favorite celebrities were up to. Shag carpeting and macrame. Upon entering a 70s home, you would immediately notice an indispensable interior design icon: shag carpeting. Although shag carpeting might indeed look awful to some, its soft, warm feel underfoot was undeniable. Furthermore, you could even lie on the carpet and make snow angels right in your living room. These carpets came in many natural colors, strongly embodying the spirit of the 70s. From warm rust orange, tranquil moss green, vibrant sun yellow to calming sky blue. These colors not only created accents, but also reflected the trend of returning to nature and comfort. On these shag carpets, it was very likely that sofas or decorative pillows upholstered with large floral print fabric were present, creating a characteristic combination of colors and patterns of the era. And of course, we can't forget the macrame owl you might have hung in your home. Macrame is a complex knot-tying technique used to create unique patterns and shapes, embodying a free-spirited and bohemian style. Macrame owls were often hung on walls, over doorways, or even in bedrooms, adding a touch of handcrafted art and personality to the living space. Schoolhouse Rock. Who could have thought learning could be so fun and catchy? This show was an indispensable part of 70s kids' Saturday mornings. It integrated education amidst our favorite cartoons. Without you even realizing it, Schoolhouse Rock taught you timeless lessons about grammar, math, politics, and science. Recall classic songs like Conjunction Junction, What's Your Function?, which taught us grammar in a fun and easy-to-understand way. Or the song 3 is a Magic Number, which transformed dry mathematical concepts into catchy tunes everyone wanted to sing along to. The cartoons were humorous, and the songs were incredibly catchy. The best part was that it didn't feel like schoolwork at all. You just thought you were watching entertaining cartoons, but in reality, you were absorbing knowledge naturally and effectively. Summer blockbuster, Jaws. Just one horror movie, Steven Spielberg's Jaws, was enough to make an entire generation of children afraid to go into the ocean. The film Jaws, released in the summer of 1975, terrified audiences with a 25-foot mechanical shark. Jaws made both children and adults constantly scan the water for signs of a shark fin whenever they were near the ocean. The fear and obsession it created went deep into the public consciousness, changing how we perceive the sea. Then, in 1977, another cinematic event shook the world. Do you remember the feeling of waiting in endlessly long lines to see Star Wars for the first time? When George Lucas's Star Wars first hit theaters, it was unlike anything the world had ever seen. For many kids, Star Wars shaped their childhood, making them completely obsessed with the series. Kids back then even wanted every Star Wars toy that was released. Groovy dances. The Hustle, YMCA Chicken Dance. The song The Hustle emerged in 1975, and immediately everyone wanted to learn this dance. The Hustle wasn't just a dance, it was a cultural statement, a way to express freedom and spontaneity on the dance floor. With simple yet stylish steps, the Hustle quickly became the must-know dance at every party and discotheque. Along with the Hustle, dances like YMCA and Chicken Dance also originated during this time. They also led to genuine crazes, making everyone perform simple but extremely fun and catchy dances together. YMCA, with its hand motions forming letters, was a highly communal dance, often performed in groups and bringing refreshing laughter. Chicken Dance, with its chicken-mimicking movements, was a fun and adorable dance, often appearing at family parties and events. The glittering light of disco. Disco absolutely dominated 1970s music. No 70s party was complete without a spinning disco ball overhead. As it slowly rotated, it would scatter glittering light throughout the room, transforming any space into a vibrant and magical mini dance floor. On the disco floor, you could dance your heart out to the sounds of legendary bands. KC and the Sunshine Band, Bee Gees and the Tramps, with their immortal song Disco Inferno, shook dance floors worldwide. Even famous rock bands like the Rolling Stones couldn't ignore this trend and released a disco track to catch the wave. 8-track tapes. In the 70s, music was everything. To take music everywhere, 8-track tapes became very popular due to their portability. Many car manufacturers even integrated 8-track players into new car models. This meant you could listen to whatever you wanted while driving around your hometown. Although they weren't the most user-friendly audio format, you certainly loved them. If that much disco wasn't enough for you, you could even go roller skating and visit roller discos. These fast-paced parties were perfect with glittering outfits, dazzling lights, and of course, groovy tunes. The vibrant evenings at the dance floor, the sparkling lights from the disco ball, and the characteristic clunk sound when an 8-track tape changed songs. That was an unforgettable musical memory. Rabbit ear TVs and TV shows. TVs in the 70s weren't high-definition, ultra-thin, internet-connected entertainment centers like today. In fact, they were quite basic. You'd have to fiddle with rabbit ear antennas to get a clear picture. You'd be very lucky to get a good signal without fuzzy screens or annoying zigzag lines. If you turned on the TV after midnight, all you'd see was a color test pattern, signaling that it was time for bed. However, TV shows were incredibly memorable and became an indispensable part of 70s pop culture. For teenagers, Happy Days was the best show. Who could forget Fonzie's characteristic A? Meanwhile, adults were captivated by MASH, an iconic military comedy. There were many other popular shows that contributed to 70s pop culture in their own ways. For example, The $6 Million Man, Charlie's Angels, and Saturday Night Live all began airing in this decade. The Brady Bunch and The Partridge Family were wholesome family comedies. Meanwhile, Starsky and Hutch added an action element. All in the Family was a new kind of comedy, pushing the boundaries of political correctness. Other shows like The Waltons, Sanford and Son, and Good Times were all classics, shaping cozy TV evenings and family conversations. Fashion icons. 70s fashion was an explosion of color, style, and self-expression. It was a blend of different influences from hippie style to disco. A characteristic feature was pants that were tight around the knees and flared wide at the bottom. They were often combined with platform shoes, brightly colored tie-dye shirts, or stylish fringe jackets. You must have owned at least one pair of bell-bottoms to show off your groovy style, right? Tube tops were a defining 70s fashion trend, perfect for hot summer days, offering a comfortable, free-spirited, and sensual style. In addition, the mood ring was also a popular 70s fashion accessory. This ring could detect your emotional state. Blue meant you were calm or relaxed. Amber meant you were anxious or restless, and black meant you were about to lose your temper. You also can't forget the stylish tube socks that you'd never pass up, especially during school gym class. Back then, it was quite a bold fashion statement if those socks reached your knees. Even better, Rarely in fashion history has a clothing style been widely accepted by both men and women, but that was especially the case with the shortest shorts and colorful striped tube socks. For older men, the leisure suit was a great way to make a style statement. They were both classic and casual. To complete this look, a pair of platform shoes was perfect. Earth shoes were also a popular type of footwear if you could get used to the negative heel technology that made you feel like you were walking on sand. CB radios, connecting before the internet era. Do you still remember your handle on the CB channel? Before cell phones and the internet, CB, Citizens Band, radio was a popular way to chat, especially when on the road. It was a unique form of communication, a bridge connecting people in an era without social media and instant messaging. Thanks to movies like Smokey and the Bandit, CB radios became a large part of 70s culture. This movie popularized the use of CB radios to the point where they began appearing in many teenagers' cars. Everyone had their own nickname or handle on their CB channel. You would frequently hear phrases like 10-4, good buddy, or breaker breaker. Kids loved to pretend to be truck drivers, while families gathered around the radio to see who they could contact, from neighbors to people hundreds of miles away. Dodgeball and the smell of Ditto ink. Back in school, gym class was synonymous with dodgeball, an energetic and dramatic game. Recall the whooshing sound of rubber balls flying through the air, the dramatic dodges and throws, and the powerful direct hits. This game not only required agility and skill, but also teamwork and strategy. Do you remember the feeling of being gifted a dodgeball to the face? It was a sensation that was both painful and unpleasant, but an indispensable part of the game. And don't forget a unique scent that only 70s students knew and strangely loved: the smell of Ditto machine ink. When teachers handed us papers printed with a Ditto machine with their characteristic purple ink, they had a distinct chemical smell that kids couldn't resist. It was a sweet, pungent, yet addictive scent that made us unable to stop sniffing. That scent became a familiar part, signaling an upcoming test, a new coloring activity, or a challenging new assignment. The smell of Ditto ink wasn't just a scent, it was a vivid sensory memory that transported us back to classrooms full of laughter. The feeling of receiving a freshly printed Ditto sheet, with the purple ink fading towards the bottom lines, was something special. Both dodgeball and the smell of Ditto ink were characteristic experiences of 70s school life. Saturday morning cartoons. Shows like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Dominated the airwaves. The Jetsons offered a humorous look at a distant future, stimulating children's imaginations. And Super Friends was filled with superhero action. These shows offered a mix of mystery, futuristic fun, and superhero action, keeping millions of children glued to their screens. Big Wheels, the joy of speed. Do you still remember the scraped knees, the small but laughter-filled falls, and the joy of outdoor adventures on your big wheel? This low-to-the-ground tricycle with an oversized front wheel, often brightly colored and featuring the iconic Big Wheel logo. Kids felt like real racers zooming across sidewalks or their own driveways. The oversized wheel helped the bike easily overcome small obstacles, adding to the sense of adventure. The handbrake was a fun feature, allowing children to perform impressive drifts, creating the sound of tires rubbing against the pavement and small clouds of dust. Beanbag chairs, comfort icon. These large, soft fabric bags, filled with characteristic small beads, were the perfect place to lounge, watch TV, or read. Available in vibrant, flamboyant colors, beanbag chairs perfectly fit the bold and quirky decor style of the 70s. From burnt orange, deep green to sunny yellow and sky blue, they added a playful and personal touch to any room. Although they sometimes leaked small beads that only added to their appeal and uniqueness. A beanbag chair in the living room or bedroom was a must-have to create a cozy, casual space, embodying the relaxed spirit of the 70s. It was a place to unwind after a long day. Do you still have a beanbag chair, or at least a fond memory of one? Bicentennial and Elvis Presley. 1976 was an important anniversary in U.S. history, the Bicentennial celebration. This was a major event, celebrated with grand parades and ceremonies across the country, leading up to the July 4th celebration. Patriotism peaked, with everyone wearing red, white, and blue outfits, displaying intense national pride. The feeling of being part of history, celebrating 2 centuries of independence, created an atmosphere of unity and excitement nationwide. And just 1 year later, in 1977, the world was shaken by another major event: the death of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. His death shocked the world. There are very few events where people remember where they were when it happened, but this announcement was certainly one of them. Elvis's subsequent funeral had 75,000 fans lining the streets, and it was even televised live 2 days later. Skateboards, new street style. The spirit of self-discovery through freedom was always emphasized right from the 70s. Almost every child had or wanted a skateboard, especially among young people. Imagine the feeling of gliding on the board, the rattling sound of wheels on the sidewalk, and the excitement of performing difficult tricks to impress friends. Skateboards brought a new sense of freedom and adventure to young people, allowing them to explore their surroundings flexibly and independently. The emergence of skateboards laid the foundation for street sports culture, a trend that continued to grow strongly in subsequent decades. Clackers, a challenging and a little risky toy. One of the most popular toys back then was Clackers.
The new original Miracle Clackers won't shatter, even if you use both hands.
These toys were extremely simple but addictive, and sometimes a little dangerous. They were 2 heavy acrylic balls attached to a string. Your goal was to clack them together to create the characteristic clack sound. The faster you swung them, the louder the noise, and the higher the chance of bruising your hand. Clackers were actually quite dangerous and were eventually banned in some places due to accidents involving them, breaking or hitting players. However, for 70s, kids, mastering Clackers was not just a game but also a rite of passage. It tested your patience, timing, and coordination. The sound of clack, clack, clack echoing through the neighborhood became a familiar sound of childhood, a symphony of fun, challenge, and a little bit of daring. Despite the inherent risks, Clackers remain a memory that was both fun and painful, an unforgettable part of childhood. Do you have any 70s memories that we missed? Share them in the comments below. Your memories are very important here. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to hit subscribe and share Back to Yesterday with your generation.